Davies in the middle. Checks back against Carter and scores. That is atypical for the Amina Margot.
Quickly gets it back again. Oh, what a goal! Well, that sums up her season. The Gunners are WSL champions.
Good evening and welcome to Vic Akers Wonderland. We are back. We are not very happy, but we're here anyway. As always, I am joined by Matt and Adam. How are you, Matt?
Very, very annoyed, if I'm honest. I think we'll come to it later on, but I'm looking forward to talking to you both about football.
Yeah.
Most importantly, women's football.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's this sport that we all love. Mr. Adam, how are you?
Not well. I've been trapped in the same hotel room for these past few recordings, and as you can see, my appearance is becoming more dishevelled with every episode. And without access to a razor, my beard is going to go full Gandalf by the end of my stay.
To be fair, I would go full Gimli because you're not grey enough.
No,
Sorry to disappoint audio listeners. He's not grey.
Actually, proper, all the way around. But no, I was hoping the Arsenal would at least give me some respite in my solitary confinement, but it wasn't to be. So there you go.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I want to wish a very happy birthday to Anna Patton today, and a very belated birthday to Leah Volti, who unfortunately lost in the game yesterday on her 30th birthday, which is absolutely nuts. But just going to quickly run through this. Let's just get straight into it. Apparently the game was a sellout. Meant to be 12,000 people there, but they said it was only 6,658, which I found really interesting. Obviously, a lot of the away fans probably didn't go, because of the rescheduling. Thankfully, our very own Matt managed to get over there. But in terms of stats, we had 46% possession. We had 10 shots, 2 on target, 4 off target, and 4 blocked. So that sums up the game for me, really. Matt, what I really want to ask you is, how was your fan experience up at Leigh Sports Village? Adam's been waiting for this.
Okay, Matt.
Here we go.
Timer is on. So I'm not really impressed. Essentially, I've never been impressed with Leigh Sports Village as a whole. So essentially, for those that don't know, if you live over abroad, Leigh Sports Village is basically in the middle of nowhere. And to get there, the only possible way for you to get there is by car. And even if you wanted to travel by train, you have to go all the way up to Wigan and then go from Wigan and get a bus and then get which goes to another town, and then from that town you have to go to Leigh. It's not a direct route. Now that enough is frustrating itself. You've got people that are trying to plan for these sorts of things. These takes weeks and weeks and weeks. So the fact that this game was a 7:15 kickoff, which was not enough time to get everyone in itself. You had people walking, including myself, in 20 minutes into the game, which meant we missed the first 20 minutes, including that incident, which I won't go into too much detail because we'll probably analyse it a lot sooner. I know you've both muted now, but it's so just the whole experience of they're both laughing, by the way. Just the whole experience of the day.
I'm sorry, I needed to have a sip of water, as everyone saw. For the audio listeners, I did mute my mic. I just wanted to have some water. I didn't want you guys to hear what I'm doing.
I wanted to mute my mic, so A, people can hear me laughing at Matt's rant, and B, I wanted to give Matt his own space because this is his moment. I didn't want to interrupt him, and we've kind of gone against that, so I shall mute again and let Matt.
No, that's fine. That's fine. So essentially, the traffic itself was a problem. Match day traffic, getting in there late, and just for people have these tendencies come match day. They want their match programs. They want to be able to see the people train on the pitch and things like that. These are all things that people like to go and see. I've missed all of that because of the traffic and things like that. Match day traffic you can't really avoid. And that's not, it happens. But for it to be basically a stadium which is supposedly held 6,000 fans, and all of them will come by car because half of them has travelled half the other side of the country, is ridiculous. The fact that they've also either they need to find something as a whole to either like a storage car park or something like that, or maybe go underneath the ground itself, whatever. It's just not accessible and it's not doable, and it wasn't feasible. There was a lack of stewarding across the car parks. There was a lack and inside the ground itself, and it was worrying sign the fact that a lot of people know Adam might have to help me out here. The camera person, thank you, Kunjan. She was being crowded right at the end when the players come over to. She did not feel safe, and she's been feeling this way for a long time. That if she's not feeling safe, what's to stop someone from going right over to the fence and just walking onto that pitch? Now, to be honest, I would have probably walked over on that pitch and run across just so I had a lifetime ban from the stadium because it was so bad. The pitch was awful. I don't know if you've seen the pitch itself, but it was horrible. It basically looked like they've just resewn it or redone certain bits of it. It was the pitch was a bit all over the place, and I don't know if it was because they'd over used the water sprinklers. I don't know if Leigh itself, their rugby league team, which is basically let's not talk about rugby league. We're here for women's football. Whatever the case may be, the pitch was not usable. It shouldn't have been used at all. And what annoys me the most is Man United have a tendency to use stadiums that are not actually in Manchester. I pointed it out in the last video that Manchester United play in Stratford, Manchester United women play in Leigh. Just to put it in, if I was to get a calculator out and say how many miles it was, I believe it's about 30 or 40 miles between Leigh and Manchester. You're not technically Manchester Football Club if you're not playing in Manchester. Manchester City do play in Manchester because they are quite near the town centre. It's about half a mile away from where they go. It's a bus ride. It's a tram. It's easy access. The problem I have is that now these stadiums, if I was to look at these stadiums and look at them all, I would be turning around, and if I was the FA and looking at these stadiums, if these are the facilities they're using, I'd be turning around and going, no, you're not allowed to play on that pitch anymore. You're going to be banned because it's inaccessible to fans. It's inaccessible for the players to get to as well. It's your lack of stewarding. The facilities around the stadium as well is not good enough. Now, there's so many clubs that you look at that are using men's stadiums. I look at Southampton, Sheffield United. You look at Bristol City, and probably most likely next season they're going to be looking at play as they're going to get promoted. They're going to be using the their state Ashton Gate. Thank you, Adam. As their main stadium, because that's how you draw more fans in. You've got a fan base there that's all ready and willing to use it. But at this moment in time, Manchester United have not got a clue what they're doing, and it shows. I'll go back to, I wanted to go and get match play program. Went up to the counter as you usually do in the kiosk. Oh, hi, have you got a match play program? No. Oh, okay, fine then. Thanks for letting me. Can you tell me anything else? Can you say no? Wasn't interested. Right. Okay, then I'll just suffer without one. And it becomes very cliche, but there's been a couple of times where I haven't got a match day program and the team's lost.
Oh no, that was not good. Oh
So
no.
just to put that into perspective, I'm not happy that I now haven't got a match day program because it counts towards the season. But a lot of times when I don't get one, team's lost. On top of that, just as a whole, the United fans, they were doing my head in all game. Same
Here we go.
old chance after chance after chance, and not even getting the correction right. Just we were talking about pronunciation offline. They're going United. If you want to be called United, change your name.
Yeah.
Manchester United. I just they were doing my head in. I think we had Melissa, myself, Macy, all ended up having an argument with one United fan. He was just being as United fans are doing online, bigging themselves up. Oh, we're going to win the Super League. We're going to win the Super League. Yeah, congratulations. Do you know who else has won the Super League? Everton, Liverpool, ourselves, Chelsea, Manchester City. All these have won trophies. And you know what? I would also shout out West Ham because at least West Ham got to a cup final as well before Man United did, even before they existed.
Exactly. And I think that's the one thing that's irritating me at the moment. Yes, you've come far in 5 years. We'll give you that. Yes, you're top of the table right now. Yes, you're playing good football. But you need to remember, Manchester is blue. And if you look at WS titles, Chelsea have won it, we've won it, Man City have won it.
And
You're not competing against first timers.
No.
We are all serial winners in our own rights.
So
Especially the Arsenal.
Yeah. So apart from
We're
that,
the only team to have the Champions League, and I will send that home to people because people forget that we've won the Champions League. Yes, the men haven't done it, but that's not the point. We've got it. End of story, and nobody else has. And I find it quite ironic thinking that Man United fans have been saying, "Oh, we should take Arsenal's place against Wolfsburg."
Yeah, no.
Wolfsburg will have them on toast for breakfast.
Oh, they'll be torn apart. Jill Ward's going to tear them a new one. Yeah,
No, exactly. Do you know what?
The box.
I would, for them next season, I'd like them to get Champions League place for the reality check. Zurich will tell them a new one. The likes of Lyon, Barcelona, or even Wolfsburg. They will. Bayern Munich will tell them a new one. Can you imagine Roma coming up against them as well? Roma looked good. Roma were the only ones to draw against Wolfsburg. So it's going to be a massive reality check. Yes, you've done well, but don't get too big for your boots.
Well,
and it's not the whole United fan base though.
No,
we've got to remember that it's certain sections.
Unfortunately,
that was very condemning. Otherwise, because I've always said in terms of our fan base, there's always certain sections that are just toxic. It's not all of us.
And unfortunately, the toxic ones are the loud ones.
As well, they decided to basically make this a free-for-all, so everyone was sitting apart. The Arsenal fans were not sitting together as a unit, as they usually do. The United fans went, "Oh, we'll just sit here," and it was very... so I don't know how it was like on TV, but it was at some...
I couldn't see anyone. All I had was an empty stand opposite me. All you fans were sitting underneath the stands. I didn't see anybody. I saw maybe 2 stands, glimpses of it, and that was it.
There were a few camera pans. There's a few close-ups I saw of the Arsenal fans, and we did hear you.
That reminds me, I need to give Lily a shout out today as well. Yeah. She was there. She was singing "Paris Loves the Arsenal." Thank you for filling in for me while I was away. I did hear you, and I did see you on the TV. So she was ironically looking at her phone as Lucy, my friend Lucy, texted her, "You're on TV." Yeah, exactly. So, exactly.
Apart from all that, Matt, it was a good day out. Well, all that aside, including the experience, the travel, the game, the results, everything. If all that aside, it didn't look great. The pitch looked from the experience on TV. I mean, firstly, thank God they got the audio and the visual synced up, which is a massive improvement from the weekend. The pitch didn't look great, which is a shame. I still think there's a rugby team that plays on it. It's interesting you mentioned about football teams because Man United, obviously the men play Salford. I think is where they play. Well, there's Salford City. There's the team that the Neville and the class of 5, Nicky Butt, Paul Scholes, all that lot have all clubbed together and raised up through the leagues. Well, we do what we do Meadow Park. That's a non-league side. That's why aren't they playing there? It's more local. It's in the community, and it fosters stronger links. It just is. It's baffling that they use that place, and it's mad that you can only really get there by car. And it's I was there for one game in the Euros. It's probably the best game I actually went to, all things considered. But I was lucky I was able to drive and stay there. But it didn't look great. The sound, we could hear the fans, we could hear our fans, you could hear the Man United fans, and I will say, unfortunately, the ones that are I would say, I'm not going to say delusional, but the ones that the stirrers, shall we say, and the braggers are sadly the louder voices.
Send fishing lines out on a regular basis.
So there are those who fish, and there are those, and some do have this sort of arrogant sort of idea of superiority over everyone else, which they carry over from their men's team. Well, I sort of get that because they've had, before Fergie.
I get that, but you've got to have a reality check.
Yeah,
that was my point from earlier.
Yeah,
you've got to have that reality check. And
put
be
it in
humble and realise in women's football, Manchester is blue. End of.
Absolutely. And I would say, if you want about maybe Roma playing them or Lyon playing them, the problem is they won't get out the playoff system because they'll do a Man City and lose to Real Madrid in the playoffs.
The problem is if they go top, they go automatically straight into the group stages, which means they'll go with the
exactly.
Because
I'm hopefully with some luck, I read a piece this morning, Chelsea could go collect 2 points clear of them with their 2 games in hand.
There is something
with some luck.
There's a bit more to it though, because there was a thing about the reason Chelsea got into the group stage, because it's also to do with if the team who is first also wins the Champions League, that also has a bearing of it. Because I think if it does. But I will ask you this quick question I want to ask next a little bit later in the show. Okay.
So we're gonna hold that
thought. That one. So I don't know.
Put that thought on hold.
It could well be that Man United fall into a playoff rather than go straight into the group stage. So that's what I think.
On say Arsenal finish 4th at the end of the season.
Thing is, I'll be honest with you, United only need 10 points to win, and the only hard team they've got is City.
Yeah,
Villa,
and they're
and also Villa. Sorry. I'm hoping Villa do pull out the bag.
The problem is, you look at that performance, and the realistic thing is you're asking a lot now for this team to pick themselves back up, pick themselves up, go again, and say, look, you need to go get as many points on board now as possible.
No, I completely get that, but we are the most resilient team. Even Lottie said it. Yeah. Our girls are made of stand and stuff, and I think they will get through it. You know, Kimmy's going to be there every match day. She was sitting there pointing and telling people what to do from her seat yesterday, and the cameras panned around. She was sitting, and Katie looked furious that she wasn't there. And so next game we've got Kate and Kate back. We might have Caitlin Ford back, so that's something to look forward to. But I think we're going to have to talk about the elephant in the room now, which is the Leah Williamson knee injury. Yeah. I opened up my TikTok this morning. First video I see, Leah Williamson leaving Leigh on crutches to get on the bus. So that not a great start at 7 a.m. in the morning for me.
No.
So just again, looking at it, it looks, when you don't watch it in slow motion, it looks like a really bad shove of Katie Zalem. We know what happened last time when she shoved someone up the Emirates. But it's, again, is it down to pitch or is it down to Katie Zalem that happened?
For what I saw, from the replays I saw, I think Zalem was in close attendance. I know she made a very nasty tackle on Leah Volti as well, which she got rightly booked for.
What? Every time I saw those tackles, I was sitting there wincing, going like that.
I know.
So
for the audio's listeners, I've just put my hands over my eyes.
They go and make these. Sorry, Adam, but they make these hard tackles, and then they don't get booked until eventually one too many, and then it's too late. I one of the reasons why I couldn't enjoy the game was because, again, I keep on saying this because I keep on talking about referees each time we're on a podcast. The inconsistency and consistency of the refereeing is going too far. Sooner or later, all these little things that they're doing wrong is going to cause a huge injury. Whether it's going to be a Katie Zellum gets a two-footed crunch, or Maria gets a shoulder dislocation, or whether it's a Sam Kerr punch in the face from a goalkeeper or anything like that. I'm not touching wood or anything like that, because I've just examples. It could happen anywhere. It could end up being like a 1-on-1, and
do you know what it is? And it's going to be. You can see it coming, but it's going to hit one of the biggest stars in the WSL. It could be anyone from the top teams.
Yeah.
And that's who it's going to hit. It's not going to hit the lower down. It's going to hit the top teams. And that is when something's going to be done about it. Then maybe Howard Webb and his wife will wake up and make our referees full-time, not part-time. Because, as you said, the inconsistencies are unacceptable as well at the moment. And I think...
Inconsistency.
Yeah.
I don't think in this instance, though, looking at the replay, I don't think this was I think this was a Zellum and Williamson coming together, Williamson stretching for the ball, and I would say if I was leaning between Zellum and Turf, I'm thinking Turf on this. I think the grass.
Yeah, no, but when you first watch it, my initial reaction, Zellum's done it again. That was my initial reaction, and that's what irritated me for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I think
it's definitely the Turf.
Yeah, definitely tough. It was a moment when I thought she, clipped her or something, but yeah, you can see something is jarred. The way her weight distribution on the ground, it's mad. And I think we should make, for the record, at time of recording, no diagnosis has been made on what the nature of the injury is. Just put this disclaimer on the bottom. Vic
definitely
does not know what the nature of this injury.
Any sensible Arsenal fan that does listen to this, they will know. For a fact, the club is tight-lipped. Look how long we waited to hear about Kim. We know, but when you see things like that from other fans, it makes you anxious, and that's where I'm at the moment with that.
On my anxiosometer, I'm up to 11. The three.
You're 11. I'm 20.
Well, yeah, okay, but the three letters ACL are flashing wildly, as they do with all of these, because we've had two already, and it's very similar circumstances. It's not QS, it's the collapse, it's the call to the bench, the cry in pain. We've seen it time and time again, and it be awful. And ACLs are awful. The timings are always awful as well, especially if it's an ACL and it's Leigh, it's no World Cup, it's no catching England at the World Cup, and you can just feel the magic of the Euros just crumbling in our hands, because we're not going to get that
going to dust.
Yeah, exactly. We're not going to have, Beth Mead. We're probably not going to have, Leigh. It could be a minor injury, but given the proximity to the World Cup, that's jeopardy. And it's a right kick. And for me, it just took the entire wind out of the game. Because up until the first 50 minutes, okay, if you put the quality of the pitch aside and the experience of the actual game was very even. And I thought this was a proper contest between two sides. Man United are, full strength. They know what they're doing, and they look great. Arsenal, a bit more patchwork cobbled together, but they've managed to, since the Conti Cup final, they've got themselves into a way of playing that works. And you're thinking, right, here we go. Two tussles. It's going to be 50-50. Arsenal had to come down to Man United's level. Man United are on the up. This could be great. The moment Leigh's injury happened, it was, if I'd been playing it on the PlayStation, I would have just turned the console off and said, no, all right, I'm not having that FIFA. You know when you play, I mean, I don't know how often any of you play FIFA, but when FIFA does something really stupid and really annoying to you, and it's like, no, I'm not having that. Sorry.
Switch it off.
Like this score.
Exactly. But my next question is, did you actually switch the game off? I hope not.
No, I kept going. If they score like a 30-yard fluky equaliser, no, stop this. I'm just starting to do it again. But you can't. You got to watch on. And watching, I was thinking, well, this is gonna. I don't think they're human, so obviously I'm expecting there to be a dip in the Arsenal performance, because that is a very traumatic injury.
They're not robots.
They're not robots. They're human, and emotionally that is going to take. And I was thinking I couldn't see us winning that game after that moment, because I think that's another key cog removed. That's now 6 players, 6 first-teamers out. If you combine that with Viv and Beth and Katie and Ford and Kim, that is 6 of our first, not saying the rest of the team are rubbish, but I'm saying these are the starting star players, first names on the T-shirt, etc., etc. They are out, so you're left with what are left, and they're not used to playing with each other. So I'm thinking, right, just get to half time, 0-0 regroup. And I thought, we were matching them for so long, and you mentioned about tenacity and resilience, and you could really see that they were doing their utmost, but it was just
It just wasn't enough, unfortunately.
It just 5 minutes of added time, and you could just see they were just waiting for the ref to blow her whistle. That's all it was.
Yes.
That lapse at the end and the turnover, suddenly with space, Parish is free down the flank, and you can just see the goal happening. And there was no inevitability about it because there were a few lapses in defence as the added time came to a close. And the moment Russo scored, I thought that's probably the points gone. Sadly, and that was a real kick. And of course, it was Russo. It's always Russo. The reason Arsenal wanted to sign her was not because of her goal scoring ability, just to stop her scoring against us. Which has been a great. But and then the second half, the only thing I can say is pride. I was really proud with the way that team played in the second half. I think Man United maybe had one chance where Russo had a shot saved by Manu early in the second half. When after that, I thought we were amazing. We didn't really create many chances, nothing clear cut, nothing great, but I thought we really took the game to them. There was a lot of the high press. There's a moment I think when even Earp's we forced an error out of Earps to get the ball quickly back. We were doing all the right things, but it was like a school choir. It was like a kid's school choir that nobody was quite in tune with everybody else. One person was in the A minor, one person was in the C major, and so on. Everybody was trying.
Everybody was out of sync.
Absolutely, everyone was trying to do the way to play, but no one was in the right time, which is why we were seeing like balls fly straight out of play. There was free kicks that no one were getting their heads on, because these are players that don't play with each other. We had a front three that we had Gio at one point, we had Cool at one point, then we had Jodie Taylor in a custom shirt. We had
that's a very good point. I don't get that.
Yeah,
it's not hard to put her name together, and it's not hard to get her numbers together either.
I know. I heard there was
a feeling. This Alzheimer's thing. I have a theory about it. I'm not too sure if this is correct. So, in the recent England-Australia friendly, they had the Alzheimer. It was Lucy Bronze, Chloe Kelly, and Kira Walsh. All wearing plain England shirts without the names. I have a feeling that's what Jodie Taylor has chosen to do for the.
That is a good theory, but the thing is, it wasn't the fact that she didn't have WSL font. She had white writing on the pink shirt.
Yeah, it was bad.
It's really hard to see, but thankfully Vicky Sparks knows who she's looking at and who she's talking about.
Yes, less about the co-coms the better. But I thought we would do. You could see that the Jonas Eidevall game plan was working, and there's two. It was sort of two entities of Arsenal, which was the game plan and the players. And the game plan worked fine. It's just that the players couldn't do the close knitting, the passing together, creating fluent opportunities. Everything was very scruffy, off the cuff. There's a moment when Palova had a chance in the box, but the ball wasn't really bouncing for her, and it was clumsy. The only way you felt Arsenal were going to score is if Man United made a mistake, like a really glaring mistake, or it was going to be from a set piece.
There was occasions I did feel we weren't quick enough on goal, where we were in that box and they weren't quick enough.
I think there's probably an element of hesitancy because again they were rocked by the situation.
I completely get that. But it was like I was watching Munich all over again.
Yeah, no, I totally get that.
It looked like we'd actually learned something from that, and watching that game didn't look like we did.
I would say in the Munich game we looked more potent than in the Man United.
Oh no, definitely, but it's a case of in front of that goal is what I'm talking about, rather than the game as a whole or each half. It's in front of that goal that's the issue.
Yeah, no, I that's probably fair. Jonas is trying everything. We went from a back four to a back three, back five. We brought Yen BT on. We brought Catley in. Good to see Catley back. Shall we say? I wish it would have been in better circumstances. I think we committed ourselves very well. I just think I wrote off a title before we did. I did, and the Man City result, the win, did sort of open the door. I think this one closed it back, and that's not because we're the Arsenal team have done something wrong. This is not because Jonas has made an error. This is not that they played badly. I feel that this is just the culmination of a season where injuries have just shrunk the squad down and have stretched the players that are left playing to play longer and harder, and they're getting injuries, and it's just snowballing. And
exactly. If I was honest with you, I was expecting to see Taya Goldie. She had the 90 minutes the other day, for the under 23s, 21s.
19s.
There you go.
If it been
she had 90
different
minutes there, and the next minute she's there at the game warming up with Michelle, and it was like, oh, okay, we're going to see a bit of Taya today.
If circumstances had been different, maybe we could have seen her, maybe we could have seen Ajamang, but I just think it was a case of I think with
them two, that it would have been too much inexperience. I wouldn't risk them up there, especially on that pitch.
And we can look at Man United and think, yeah, great, they won, but they played against what you could argue was our B or C team, and they only won 1-0. They
basically played against Injury FC. Let's be serious. Yeah. Amongst us Arsenal fans, it's Injury FC when it gets to this point. And it's just blow after blow after blow. Like Kim is just a massive blow. When she's injured, I don't realise how much I enjoy watching her and how much I miss her as a whole. And I'm so glad we get her for next season.
Was that general in midfield that was being able to direct. Leah does it brilliantly for Switzerland because she works as the holding midfielder. But when she's got Katrina, who's in front of her, and Frida, it's very much it doesn't work. For me, Katrina Kuhl is not a right winger. She's a central midfielder. That's where she plays. She's not pulling her harder. She doesn't go running through, and she can score at any given time. She hasn't got that in her locker yet. She might do in the future, but her continuously being played out of position just feels wrong. And at this moment in time, if I had to pick at the team for Wolfsburg, I'd have to put Katrina Kuhl in that midfield with Leah Volti and Frida Marnham so that they can get that continuation. I know Adam was going to turn around and go, well, who do you put on that right wing? Well, at that moment in time, you would assume you'd have Gio because Caitlin Ford's going to probably come in now and need her on that left-hand side. And
exactly.
You can have. Well, the way I see it is, I think Mola Kuhl is a midfielder. I mean, I think she's a central midfielder. I think, but I agree with that. The problem is the case of we can't play the players in the positions we want to play because of the situation we find ourselves in. Now, thankfully, we're going to have left wingers back, hopefully, for the weekend. So for me, logically, you put Katie McCabe on the left, you put Palova on the right, and you put Mola Kuhl in the midfield of Leah Volti, and then put Marnham, and then Leonardson Marnham in the middle, and then it all should fine. Unfortunately, there was the element of square pegs, round holes. That's why we saw Mola Kuhl on the wing, then moved central, and Gio put on the wing, then Gio taken off, and Jodie Taylor put on the wing, just trying to field an 11. I mean, that's the thing. That's the struggle we've got. I mean, this is getting too far, and I think we'll just have to. We got all we can do now. We're tied at points in Man City. I think we've got a better goal difference in Man City. We've just got to win as many games as possible and hope we can get third place.
The problem with that is, I know we're probably going to talk about that. If we do get third, we're going to become back. Half the team won't be there because of international duty. You think about it. Our Aussie girls aren't going to be there. Actually, if I look at the squad at the moment, just thinking about it, Manu's not going to be there. Kim's not going to be there. They're in this for their so that's going to be okay.
Yeah, Jen Beattie's not going. Gio might not go. I don't think she'll go, if I'm honest with you.
Chance she can. She needs more minutes, but at this moment in time, you'd probably say no.
If we don't draw Real Madrid, though, we'll be all right.
No, I want those days. I want to have a.
You want those kind of games, though. You want a challenge.
You don't want them in the playoffs. You want them in the group stage. You don't want to be.
Okay, point taken. Point taken. Okay.
Yeah, but remember, this is Man City, and we haven't got Gareth Taylor.
Yeah. So at the moment, like for our internationals, we've got obviously Viv's not going, Beth's probably not going. Right. So we cross them off. So you got Leah's probably not going at this point either. So we've got Sabrina D'Angelo going, Raffaele.
No, Lottie, no.
I know. Katie McCabe. We've got Frida Marnham, Victoria Palova. You've got Leah Volti, Lotte Wubben-Moy, Katrina Mola Kuhl, Caitlin Ford, Lena Hurtig possibly, Christina Blackstenius, and Gio.
We don't know what's happened with Lena. We don't know what's happened with Lena. That's the problem as well. All of a sudden, if you're hearing things about she's had a surgery, and the next thing, it's very odd for someone to be come in, have a season. It feels very much like Mana over in the Miss April in this, where she towards the end of the season she had a foot surgery because she was having problems, and then she didn't play. She was expecting to play more games this season, and it hasn't worked out. I just feel if that's the case with Lena, I hope that it doesn't go the same way. And I mean,
I hope not. I hope not, because
she is a huge asset. She's tall, she's a great winger, and she's got that instinct up front. We've seen it in Europe, but we haven't seen it as much.
We've seen it for Sweden as well. So we know it's there. It's a case of just unlocking it.
Are you suggesting that Lena's going to be lining up for Spurs next season on loan?
No, I hope not. No. If anything, I have a feeling that Everton might be looking at one of our players to loan next season. And whether it will be Lena, whether it will be Gio again, whether it will be...
I think Gio needs another loan in the WSL, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah. But we need her at the moment just because of the numbers. I mean,
of course, obviously, but not, like thinking ahead next season sort of thing.
She was very...
Well, if Beth Mead comes back fully fit, she's not getting a sniff.
And Palova's going to struggle as well, obviously, if Beth Mead's starting all the games. Yep. I thought that Gio, it was interesting to see Gio, because Gio is a big sort of mystery because we hardly see her, but it was good for her to get a run out. I mean, I'm glad she got subbed. I felt she was close to getting off. She was close to getting sent off, so thank God, she was withdrawn.
Yeah. I was quite relieved when she was taken off. I mean, she took a bit of grass with her as well, hanging off her shoulder, which was interesting. Again, that's how poor the pitch is.
Yeah. We are kind of spoiled pitch-wise because we play at Meadow Park, and that is probably.
And we play at the Emirates.
At the Emirates, which are two of some of the best pitches like going, and also have a very obviously tight relationship with Meadow Park, and so they can sort of help with that matter. We obviously they don't play rugby on Meadow Park, whereas they do at the Sports Village, which always helps. And you can see the faint rugby lines on the pitch on the TV. You can see it's just. You just think, is that I'm obviously may not have a contract with Leigh Sports Village. That's probably, it's probably a long-term contract, so they play there. But it's like if you come on, if you want this, they're a football team. Put them in a football stadium. It's not Old Trafford, like I said. Salford City for me is the logical choice, and it's got the capacity level that can match the amount of fans that want to go. So why not do it?
You know what? Just thinking on that point, Newcastle do actually have a rugby league final at St James's Park each season, but the stadium itself looks fantastic. Even
Old Trafford as well. Old Trafford plays rugby.
Thing is with the rugby's in the summer, so when the football's over, so they've got time to prepare it.
Yeah.
Whereas, Leigh Sports Village speaks for itself. I don't need to explain anything with that.
I just kept singing "I Want to Go Home."
I think most of the Arsenal players did by the end of it.
Oh, what was it? I want to go home. I want to go home. Manchester. Well, Leigh is that bleep?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go home.
Yeah, that was basically what I was singing at towards the end, because it's just. I think this is it's one of those things you feel like almost like it was at Lyon, where you've got an injury, you can't just want to get towards the half time. As Adam said correctly, go 0-0, set yourselves up, reset, mentally get your strength back. And unfortunately, it didn't go that way. I think everyone looks back at the performance and just goes, you know what? Okay, it's not that, I don't know if it's a banner of the meme where some guy's got a banner and said, at least you tried, or anything like that.
Oh, yeah, the Bart Simpson cake thing,
That's the one.
I think that's good fighting spirit, and if we play like that, but we with a bit more fluency with the players who would normally play, I think it would be absolutely fine. I thought the best chance we had was a 0-0 when that Leah injury happened, and if it wasn't for a small lapse at half time, maybe we could go over it. And if we had got a 0-0, that would have been a Herculean effort and something to really be proud of. Obviously we lost, so it's 3 points gone. We should have a shout out for a moment in the dying seconds, which would have been the most memorable of all memorable WSL moments.
It would have been. It was very Vivian Miedemar-esque. I will say that.
Manu almost scored against Manu, and it just didn't happen. I saw the punch, I saw it land. I thought, oh come on, this is your moment, but it wasn't to be. And fair, I would say, on the balance of play, I think fair play to Man United. I'd say I'm not going to be one of these sort of petty fans who's go for cheap point scores. I do that a lot, but in all honesty, They've been brilliant this season. And, they win the WSL title. They absolutely deserve it because, they have been threatening to at least break into the top 3 since they've come up. They've actually, the club's actually shown ambition and desire to get this club. Other clubs take note. Spurs, Everton, West Ham, Brighton. Shout out to Brighton who got a win against Everton to get out.
They did.
Fair play to them. But Man United showing it can be done. You can break up the higher order. You've just got to have the design. You've got to have the backing and the will to do it. And they're doing it. They're doing it well. Maybe Chelsea will pip them. But there's been a brilliant season for them. They got a cup final as well. And that's their first ever league double over us. And it wasn't a fluke. I would say on both cases, certainly the Emirates, they were brilliant. It's probably one of the worst WSL performances I've seen us play at the Emirates was when they beat us. For reasons obviously we know about for our side. But yeah, fair play to them and best of luck for the rest of the season.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think the last thing I really want to touch on with this game is the commentary from Rachel Brown Finnis. As some of you might have noticed earlier, I did say Gabriele.
She's rubbed off on you. It's catching.
I am livid.
Gabrielle is her
livid.
middle name, so you weren't 100% wrong.
Well, I blamed Rachel Finnis Brown because throughout that game last night, the BBC commentary, despite being corrected several times by Vicky Sparks, it was Gabriele.
And it's Brown Finnis. If you're going to pronounce her name correctly, at least pronounce her name.
I don't really care at this point. I'm sick of mediocre commentary.
No,
when you've got if you've just got Vicky Sparks, let her do it by herself. She'll be fine.
She was great.
She does great on DAZN.
Exactly. She was banging the Liata Mornham drum to the extent that it actually came from the commentary. And I heard that, and I could think of a certain other commentator who will be watching that, and he'll be having a wry smile on his face, and then quite rightly so. But it's brought me to the public attention.
Definitely.
He was doing the Everton Brighton game, but it was. Yes. I really hope he does go to the World Cup because he deserves a shout.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
We need him there just to keep sanity.
Yeah. But Rachel Brown Finnis, it's not the first time this has happened. And look, Rachel Brown Finnis, legendary goalkeeper for England. This is not a knock on her personally. She's a wonderful. I saw she was even in the fan park when we went to Old Trafford.
Cool.
She was there. I think great, and she does. She does the punditry on BT, and she's amazing. And it's just simply. I understand.
We're just asking to get the basics right. That's all we want.
And it just feels like it's a sly against women's football, which is even worse when it's coming from somebody who has been on the other side of that microphone and been on the pitch. Unfortunately, these aren't digs against me personally, but I think we have a duty to start calling it out on a regular basis. And just think if
I was speaking to someone over Twitter today, and again another example, Alicia Russo. Who's Alicia?
Don't know.
So it's simple things like that. I know, like just give it half an hour and study the teams, and then remember the numbers.
That's what was interesting? I know a bit of a technicality. CBS, Champions League. They were talking about it, and they were talking about Women's Champions League. Comes to Thierry Henry, he's got 30 seconds, and he just puts everything on a plate for everyone. So he's talking about quadruples. They're the only team to do it in the entire the world, and he's laying it out as if to say, if someone like that who's so iconic that you would remember is able to do that, it shouldn't take you to less than maybe an hour.
The thing is, this is for Arsenal on our side of things. First it was Hope Powell, now it's Rachel. Who's next?
To be fair, there's been times where Farrah Williams has been called worse by fans. I remember at Leicester last season, I think she was called Farrah.
He'll be back. But yeah, no, it's just at the point where it needs to be called out. It's not on anymore, and it's just I'm getting irritated with it. And
you don't hear those slip-ups in, as much as we hate using the comparison, we don't hear those slip-ups in the men's game. You don't hear someone go McAnally or something like that, or
I do recall Chris Cammy naming the Arsenal right back Zachary Banya on a piece of comms once. That did happen. Also, shout out, I did watch the post-match, the pre-match conference to Jonas, where they I think referenced Vivian Medema.
It was the Sky person, wasn't it?
Yeah, and again, these mispronunciations happen all the time. And I mean, Miedema's not even hard, and yet co-commentators and commentators, I don't know how. I know when pronunciations happen, when you get an idea of how it sounds, and you say it so many times, it becomes ingrained in your mind, and you don't change it. And I've done that growing up as a kid. I mean, we were talking off air about I used to say Glastonbury as a kid because that's how I thought I used to pronounce it, and it's not as Glastonbury, but I used to say it as a kid, and no one corrected me in time. And it's just a matter of if obviously the clue is if your commentator's saying it correctly, maybe never listen to think actually they might be preferring to, they might actually be right. But it's just do your research and show some effort, because we want this to be the best product possible, and it just comes up unprofessional if you can't pronounce the names correctly.
No, 100%.
Well, a lot of the clubs are now using this time to, if they have Savida, Jons Jota, who does play for Wolfsburg at the moment, say she comes to Chelsea this season, Chelsea are gonna put a video out to say, how do you say your name? And it will be 30 seconds, done and dusted, and then that will be that.
Exactly. Yeah, we did that with Reinreuter. We've done that with Raffaele as well. It's not Raffaele, it's Raffaele. It's a H, not an R.
And they still mispronounce it anyway.
Exactly.
Sometimes they don't even bother saying it.
Exactly.
That was the thing.
I can't pronounce that name.
Fans talking, we were like, do we go with Sousa? Do we go with Raffaele? It was very much that conversation, and a lot of fans sort of want to know that because they want to try and build it into chants and things like that. So what?
I think it's just the basics for a new player, but we obviously with Raffaele, she wanted to put her first name on the back of the shirt. She does that in Brazil. That's how she plays. That's how she's played previously. So, although we are all fully aware of her last name, she just wants to be called Raffaele.
But to all of us, she'll always be Gabrielle.
Out of reach.
So I thought maybe she's thinking maybe she's got a Gabrielle concert to go to, and her mind was slightly confused.
No, I'm not having none of that.
Maybe she'll appear on The Masked Singer next.
Yes.
Anyway, let's move on to the weekend when there's no WSL action for us or Chelsea. So we move on to Champions League semi-finals.
Yes.
45,000 tickets sold. How exciting is that?
Very, very exciting. So yes, the first leg I think is this weekend, and then we have Chelsea are at home to Stamford Bridge, at home at Stamford Bridge against Barcelona, where they proudly announced that 25,000 tickets have already been sold. Which is just pocket change for us. And but yes, we on our return.
That's a lower tier to us.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we sold
not even a full one.
The Man U game, but they're fair play to them. They go on the fan base, and I'm sure, like us, they have to start somewhere. That will pick up. So as much as we can mock now, in a few years' time, that will 100%. Go up. But
100%, it will. It definitely will go up. But before we
Chelsea fans were complaining that a lot of Arsenal fans wanted to go and see us try and stand in the Barcelona end to help the numbers.
We want to see a decent European team play at Stamford Bridge. And
exactly.
Obviously, I expect more Chelsea fans will go, because obviously now the men's team is out of Europe. This might be one of the last times they get to see Champions League football at Stamford Bridge. So then, more might go. And I'm not saying it's a joke, as in seriously. There could be one of the sole players. As for us, 45,000 tickets, a momentous achievement. I think it's absolutely amazing. There was talk of sellout. I think there are a few more areas to unlock as I said before, in the clock end, the North Bank, but there's a real chance to get a real atmosphere.
I should say club level is almost sold out.
I think club it either almost is or
it is. It's one of the two. It was last time it was almost. I'm assuming it is this time.
And this is one of the reasons why.
Out, but again, anything could have happened. It could have been changed. So sorry, Adam. Go on.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons I'm gutted that if Leah is out, because this is the sort of game I'd love to see Leah Williamson sort of play in, and I just feel. I feel we're almost cheating the fans out of it, because if we could have played in this sort of fixture with all our best players, but we're not. We're going into this game a semi-final against Wolfsburg, a second leg, so Lord knows what we'll get in Germany. could be a 1-1 draw or a 2-0 defeat or something, but you want something to take back to Emirates worth fighting for, like Bayern Munich. We're going to get 45,000 plus fans there, and they're not going to see Viv play or Beth play or Kim play. They're not going to see, probably won't see Leah play. And you just think, it's very frustrating. But I do hope that the players that do play, the players that have been, going since the Conti Cup final, can put on a show. And at the end of the night, hopefully we'll have a ticket off to Eindhoven at the end of it. I think it's going to be amazing. I think it's a momentous day, a momentous occasion. It's funny to flash back to how the last time we played Wolfsburg in the semi-final at Meadow Park. Maybe 100 or 1,000 people had turned up. I think we said
1,400.
And now
we had Leah Williamson's mum on the gate as a volunteer.
Yeah. And now it's this. And I hope we can go further. I hope we can hit 50. And I think depending on the result, if we get a good result in Wolfsburg, or a result which, if we lose 4-0 in Wolfsburg, say, touch wood doesn't happen, but say or 4-0 final, 10-0, 20-0, whatever, then the second leg is going to be a bit flat. But if we are, within touching distance, if it's, a close draw or 1 goal, and we really do what we did in Bayern Munich and take the game to Wolfsburg, it could be a memorable night, and I really hope it is. And this team deserves it. So I can't wait. And if you haven't got a ticket already, get your ticket now.
No, definitely. I mean, if we just look back at both teams' journeys, I mean, Wolfsburg are the only ones not to lose a game. Now, only ones not to lose a game. They've had 22 goals. They had 1 draw with Roma. They had a draw with Slavia Praha. I think I pronounced that right.
Yeah, Slavia Praha. Yeah.
Yeah, and then also a 1-1 draw with PSG
which they
on their way
won.
here. Yeah, at the moment they've not lost a game, obviously, but they're currently top of their league, 13 points clear of Bayern Munich, and they've lost 1 game in the last 5.
And they lost.
So they're very much in form at the moment, which kind of scares me. Whereas
they lost to Bayern in the league, but they smashed them in the cup. I think it was a semi-final.
Yeah, 5-0.
Yeah, and then if we look back at our journey, we've had 19 goals in total. We've had that 1-0 loss to Lyon at home, but smashed them 5-1 in their backyard, which is probably one of the most memorable games of the season. And then obviously there was the 1-0 loss away to Bayern, and that was it.
Yeah, and we smashed them sort of smashed. We beat them in our backyard.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is probably the only other memorable result from the contest for the competitions so far this season. So I think it's been
I would have said Lyon's more important than that.
Oh, Lyon's. I would say, Lyon's good for scoreline, but to win a knockout game against Bayern Munich, coming from behind.
But they were the holders, though.
I know.
They still are for the moment, actually, I should say.
I know, but
it was great to see Van der Donk back, though. It was good to see her play. I will say that, well as Delphine Cascarino. I'm a massive fan.
Yeah, I know you are. You were very fond of her during the Euros.
Yeah, she's just. It's like she's just brilliant. I just enjoy watching her. As you guys know, I like watching a winger or a forward. I'm a fat Rachel Daly fan of hers, and yeah. Says it all, really.
This season, I said it before getting into it, we need this again. I do fear if we miss out on Champions League football, the momentum that we're gaining by building up the attendances at the Emirates and being competitive in these games, we risk losing if we fall short, if we come fourth. Now, if we won the Conti Cup, we could getting to semi-final Champions League. It's been a brilliant season. I think it's an improvement on last season.
Adam, you just keep reading my mind tonight. What is going on? That was my next question. I can't believe this. This is the 3rd time you've done this to me tonight.
I know.
I should have let you host tonight.
We're
on the same wavelength. I'm enjoying this. This.
If I think it's a successful season, we won a trophy, and I always find, like, after the Man United game, I felt a bit bad. I did. I knocked open the Conti Cup highlights and just rewatched it again and just watched it, and life feels better. Honestly, it's such a great sort of emotional, like, oh, we have actually won something. Not saying everything's a free hit, but it just feels better when you see Kim Little and Leah Williamson.
It was nice for the Queen Makers to be queens again.
Absolutely. So I think this has been another step forward massively on with what we've achieved, and certainly what we're achieving off the pitch in terms of the interest at snowballing.
The fact that we can't now, I can't get tickets. Yeah, fantastic.
This is completely isolated. I mean, I go to my place of work, so I work in an office, and women's football wouldn't be discussed. But now people come up to me and ask how the women are doing.
Nice.
Yeah, I broached it in conversations before, and I try and, so there are people in the office, I know football fans, and I tell them how their women's team are doing as well. And now they come up to me because sometimes they see me go to the games, and I go, "Well, how did the women do last night?" And it's just you would never have that face-to-face conversation, and they probably don't watch the games, but they know I do, and they are intrigued to see how my team's doing and how their team's doing, and that's the next step, and that's what we need. It's bringing new fans in.
Oh, definitely.
People on Twitter who do the Arsenal men. They just talk about the Arsenal men. I'm now seeing them also talk about the women's team.
Yes.
And just do it, and not just like as a one-off thing. It's it's talking about, oh, we need to do this, we need this, that, this has happened, this is bad, like, oh, we need to do better. And you're thinking, yes, this is what we need. We need you in our team because you're another voice that people listen to, and that's happening this season, and that's proof of it growing. And we looking forward to next season. That's all I can say. What comes next?
Yeah, let's get through the World Cup first before I even think about that.
No more injuries.
Yes, please don't. Please don't. You're giving me nightmares as injury FC at this point. Matt, what are your thoughts on, will it be a successful season? Although we've won the Conti Cup, if we get that Champions League spot, is it a successful season?
For me, last season, it was a successful season, considering that we come away walking with nothing and being so close to the title. It's bittersweet, and then almost to be in sort of, it's almost like, right, okay, we're just going to have to give it all we've got now and forget about title race at this rate. It's not that, it's being realistic, trying to assess what you've got at the moment and what's happened over the season, the injuries and everything. It just, as Adam has said, it's just all linked up. I mean, it's just caused a cause for concern. But what will happen, I imagine, is the owners will probably see what's happened and they will make a huge assessment over the summer. Does he need that bigger squad? Does he need to beef up the midfield a little bit more? Is there any chance of that happening? But that's all for the next season. Right at this moment in time, successful season, I said, would have been a trophy, and if we can get Champions League football at the end of it, I would have been happy. If it meant that it was another title charge, which unfortunately it doesn't look like it is at the moment, it's just a bit of a shame because it's going to leave it a bit bittersweet. But if I'm honest, I'm looking at everything going forwards. We've got some games that are going to be really good. Then you've got the last 2 weeks of the season. We got Villa at home. Just before that, we're away to Chelsea, last away game of the season. So I think that's the game that you want everyone there. You want
it's crunch time,
because going to Chelsea and you haven't won for X amount of years since that 5-0 drumming is just something that needs to happen. And if that happens, could that open up the title race? Could that open up the Champions League spots? Anything was being possible because you've got the other two teams in Manchester also playing that day. So
there was a weird situation where us beating Chelsea could give Man United the title.
Well, this is the thing as well, is you don't expect any teams to give you any help throughout.
No one's going to give anyone any favours at all.
It doesn't happen
unless you are Tottenham Hotspur.
Chelsea went to go and play Tottenham twice in a row, and their goal, Musovic got sent off last season.
Berger got sent off.
Sorry, it was Berger. Berger got sent off, and they couldn't finish her off. It was just
they still couldn't just finish
the
game.
And at the time as well, it was just like, how Spursy can you get?
Exactly. I mean, we were talking amongst ourselves before that, like, we've even bought this pod about. So yeah, no, it's just mad. Before we wrap up on the Champions League football, I do want your thoughts on Chelsea hosting Barcelona with the return of Pina. Alexia Putellas and apologies if I pronounce this wrong. Is it Oshwala? Thank you. They've come back for Chelsea. Yeah. what are your thoughts on that, with the returns, and how do you think Chelsea are going to fare? Because Chelsea only really play small teams like Tottenham, and
Yeah. Tottenham.
we don't see the big teams like City and us go to Stamford Bridge. We go to Kings Meadow.
Yeah, they only play Spurs and only have ever played Spurs at Stamford Bridge in the league. And yes, Lyon was the first to the big team, which they lost, drew, and won in one of those weird sort of European sort of quirks.
Yeah.
I expect,
and they had to cheat their way through that as well.
I expect, and I want, and I need Barcelona to play them off the park. Now, if you want to get an idea of what it could be like, watch the highlights of the 2021 UEFA Women's Champions League final on YouTube. I thoroughly recommend it. It's very entertaining, especially the first 20 minutes. Now, I do think
Agreed.
I do think Chelsea are improved since then, but Barcelona are as well. And with Lyon out the way, in Barcelona's eyes, they've got a clear route to the trophy.
I think they've had the easiest route, to be fair.
They have, and because Chelsea have almost, because if Lyon had beaten Chelsea, I would have thought, the Lyon, because of what happened last year.
Lyon will beat Barcelona, but it's Chelsea.
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to get massively misquoted. I can see it.
Here we go.
If Chelsea beat Barcelona, if this is an if, not yes, if they did that, I mean, you'd have to say, well, fair play to them. They would deserve to be. The team that beats Barcelona will be European champions. Put it that way. If you beat Barcelona, you're going to be the champions of Europe. I think, because if Wolfsburg beat us, I think a Wolfsburg-Chelsea final would be a 50-50. Likewise, if we beat Wolfsburg, I think us versus Chelsea would be a 50-50. Barcelona, if they get to the final, they're going to beat us. They're going to beat Wolfsburg. That's just how it is.
That's just fact.
Exactly.
It's not how it is. It's just fact.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, as much as we don't like to admit it, it's just fact. They've got a world-class team.
They are.
I mean, they've got Lucy Bronze. They've got Kira Walsh. They've got one of the best footballers in the world, which is Alexia Putellas, who's just come back from an ACL and he's travelled to Stamford Bridge.
They are playing. We play football. Insane. We play football here. They're on another level, and that's just evolution. We will get to that level. We all will get to that level. Eventually. But I don't think Chelsea are at that level to beat Barcelona. I expect Barcelona to beat them.
Do you expect Sam Kerr to score? Being a world-class striker that she is.
I think they could create a chance for her. Whether she'll take it, I don't know.
Whether she'll bottle it or not is a different story.
Well, yeah, I mean, she didn't score against Lyon, did she?
Yeah.
I mean, she could, but I think it'd be a goal, maybe in a 3-1 or a 4-1. I think the real game is the one at the new camp.
Yes.
And that is. Let's say hypothetically, Chelsea get a win at Stamford Bridge. Maybe it's a I don't know if Millie Bright is fit for the Stamford Bridge game, they may have a chance. If she's unfit, and I think is it Buchanan, the other one?
Yeah, Buchanan's out as well.
Buchanan's out, so it's Magda and Neem Charles and Jess Carter at the back.
Yeah.
I'll say I will give Chelsea the slightest of home advantages and say maybe they can get a draw. I cannot see them winning in the new camp. I can see Barcelona steamrolling them in the new camp, just like we did against Real Madrid and just like we did against Wolfsburg. With that crowd, with that team on that pitch,
they thrive on that crowd. They absolutely thrive, and that's why they steamroll teams.
I cannot see Chelsea beating Barcelona over 2 legs. So so I'm hoping Barcelona beat them at Stamford Bridge and then just set the groundwork for what comes later. But you never know. Maybe Emma Hayes will pull a rabbit out of the hat and it'll be like a 1-1, and Chelsea fans will get really excited going to Camp Nou next week. Yeah. And then we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, no, definitely, Matt.
Well, I think the best way to describe this Barcelona team is essentially it's early 2000s to early 2010s. That's the sort of era of Barcelona that you're looking at because of how much they're dominating the league and winning Champions Leagues. Bear in mind that early 2000s, we were the standard up here because we were setting the tone. It was Vic Akers who was the man who was setting everything.
Yeah.
And just making sure that we were playing at the highest quality. At the times, we were playing teams off the park, and we eventually did win that Champions League trophy. And we will never let anyone forget that.
No, we definitely will not. Even if Emma Hayes was the assistant at the time.
Yes, times change, and as time has gone, we've gone down where other teams, the Wolfsburgs, the Lyons, the Barcelonas of the world, have developed it even higher. Just for the audio listeners, I'm using my hands to demonstrate like up and down.
How high it is. So.
Yes, it is.
And now we've got Adam behaving like an Egyptian. Amazing, amazing. It's never ceases to amaze me on these podcasts. With this, definitely, I do recommend audio listeners, if you've got 5 minutes, zip onto YouTube. You've got to come and check this out.
This is going to be edited out, right? You said this would be edited out, Lottie. Just.
Oh no, no chance.
It just goes to show a lot has happened. I think we go back to that last week when we mentioned the game against Wolfsburg in the semi-final, 1,400 at the gates, just over that at Boreham Wood. Now it's over 45,000 at the Emirates. It shows a lot of development in a small space of time, if you think about it, considering all that's gone on. We still need the game to develop. Let's not forget that. There's other things that go on with the stuff that we've mentioned today, or I've ranted about today as well. But to be able to look at Barcelona and think how far they've come. Okay, I look at Roma. Roma have been great, and considering they've only started about 3 years ago, it's huge for them to be top of their league, to go to the Stadio Olimpico, get a 0-0 against this Barcelona side.
I think it was a 1-0.
Oh, yeah, it was a 1-0.
Barcelona scored, but they were really good. They were.
Yes.
The thing is, they did take the game to Wolfsburg as well. That was a 4-2. I think it was at Wolfsburg at home or away. I'm not too sure, but it was 4-2 there, and they also scored in a 1-1 draw against Wolfsburg. So it can be done.
Yeah.
This is the thing that I was trying to build up to, was the fact that Roma will go at these teams. They have the capacity of it. They have some great players, and I would imagine that when it comes down to it, against Barcelona, will Chelsea be able to say the same? I would probably say that yes, because they've got the likes of Jess Fleming that can come off the bench, even though they've got a couple of injuries. There's plenty of players at Chelsea that could come on and make a difference in a game. But can they do it against Barcelona? No. If I'm honest, I'm expecting Barcelona to ticky-tacky football all across the pitch, and I imagine it could quite easily be 4 or 5, if I'm honest, if Millie Bright, and I would say just Millie Bright, because Buchanan's been a bit of a
hit and miss
target.
Loose cannon, I'd say.
I'd say
loose Buchanan.
You target.
Yeah, yes. Here we go. He got his pun in. We're complete. Sorry, Matt. I do apologise. I'll let you continue. But he had to get his pun in.
Anyway, she just maple leaves all over the pitch, what Buchanan does. Nice Canada pun for you.
My turn next.
I think Barcelona could quite easily beat Chelsea 3-0, depending on the injury update on the other players as well. We don't know what's happening with Pernille Harder. We don't know if she's out for the season or not.
Same with Frank Kirby.
Or Frank
against Villa. Harder was, I'm sure. So she must be close to being fit. I'm pretty sure.
Might be out of the loop a little bit then.
She was definitely on the bus, because I saw her coming off the coach. I think she did get into, I don't think she came off the bench, but I think she was in the squad. I think the only way Barcelona don't win this is if they don't turn up. Just to simply, if they play the Barcelona way, they'll win. It's whether they don't turn up or Emma Hayes pulls some tactical masterclass. And how if you see on those videos, how I stopped the mighty Barcelona.
Unless it snows like it did at Munich.
Yeah, I played 10 at the back and had Sam Kerr as a lone forward, and it worked a treat.
Just with Wolfsburg, I think the scary thing is if we don't have Fleer for this one, which I think is.
Don't really think about it.
That's the scary thing, because essentially you've lost the Captain America of this team, as it were. One half of Captain America, if you like, because the other one is Rafael.
You've lost that perfect centre back pairing, or the best in the league. I should
And
say.
you look at their attack and where everything was back. It's essentially the battle is in the midfield. You look at their midfield compared to ours and who's registered. Their midfield is going to just have a field day if we do not have the right players in midfield. So I just feel a bit like overwhelmed. I think the best we can hope for is if we do lose, say 1-0, I think we'll be happy with that going into the home leg because we'll have something to play for. Home advantage again. Can we do something? It would be quite nice if we could get something out of it, but at this moment in time, I'm not feeling as positive as I usually am.
And if we do lose to Wolfsburg, say we lose 3-1 away in Wolfsburg, but win 1-0 at the Emirates, we get knocked out by Wolfsburg in the semi-final. Wolfsburg go through the final, and you know what? I think I would not be. I mean, I'll be upset, but I would think that's such a great effort by the team to have got this far, considering the circumstances. To have got to, certain other teams would have, chucked it in or just blamed injuries. Jonas has never. I think it's only last night we just basically said it was an injury too far, but he's been very consistent. He's never blamed us on injuries. He's seen the injuries as opportunities to bring other players into the team and try and find new solutions, new connections. That's why we've gotten this far. And this is the first time I think today we had his hand up and said, yeah, it was just one injury too far. And I think maybe that is starting to catch up on us now. But again, pride. I'm proud of the team. And if they get to semi-final and give Wolfsburg as good as they've got, even if it's not enough, I'll still be proud of them.
It shows
exactly. The thing is, it does as much as it does show development, but it also shows the resilience and how far we have come.
Yes.
And versatility.
And that is what, hopefully we'll see another Lottie goal. I'm hoping for that because obviously that was my first live Arsenal women goal last season against Wolfsburg.
Yeah.
And it's one I will never forget. Myself and Adam were sitting up on club level. Matt, was you was downstairs? No, you wasn't at that game, was you?
Right here. And I was probably up there with all the Arsenal fans just being like, yes, we got a goal, we got something.
I still wish Stina was off. I wish Stina was managed to stay on side for that first one because it was such a good finish. I just wish it's that early goal. I thought that would have been so amazing, but no, it wasn't to be. But Lottie had the last word. Fair play.
Yeah, no, definitely, she did have the last word.
Would you like a bit of a stat then?
Go on, Matt.
Who do you think's been more offside per game, Stina or Sam Kerr?
Sam Kerr.
Okay.
Do you want to know the stat?
Go on
then.
Sam Kerr is offside 2.73 times per game.
Yeah.
Stina 1.71.
Yeah. The thing is, I think I saw that stat. That's how I knew. I do apologise. I knew. I know that answer. I'm going to get this one right.
There's no way Matt's going to bring a stat to an Arsenal podcast that incriminates an Arsenal player.
But it's a well-known joke on this podcast. We joke about how often she is offside.
A lot of the time she isn't though. It's a lot of the time it's the line. I hate talking about this. It's the linesman's in the wrong place.
The officials get it wrong.
Yeah, they do get it wrong. Again, it's also consistency of inconsistency.
It's also about the players releasing the ball quicker, getting the ball. Don't hesitate. Get the ball early to her, and she'll be on side. That's all it is. It's timing.
Oh yeah,
I would be surprised if, say, the first 20 minutes we actually scored, and then. I'd be surprised, but I tell you what, it would be a welcome surprise because I think it will give us that motivation.
It will. It will give us that drive, and that's what we want. And it'd be a really good setup for the next leg as well.
We need to
when they come to the Emirates and bank holiday.
League, that will give us something to work on next season.
Definitely. Right, before we wrap up, obviously the WSL is happening this weekend. All the games are on Sunday. I'm going to get some quick score predictions off you guys.
Oh no!
It's only 4 games and there's 8 teams. So.
I don't even know what the games are. So go. Okay, go.
Liverpool and Brighton. I'm going to go for a draw. I don't know how many goals are going to be scored because Brighton have got that new manager bounce, and Liverpool don't give up that easy. So I'm going to go for a draw.
I'll go 2-1 to Brighton. I think just the new managers. The development that you've seen against Man United in that semi-final, just amazing.
So this is Liverpool at home to Brighton.
Yes, it is. It is.
2-2.
2-2. Okay, cool. Next game is Reading v Everton. I don't even know where to start with this game, if I'm honest. So I'm going to go to Adam first.
Oh,
don't know.
Okay, I'll give it a step. Reading Everton, I will go 1-1.
Okay.
3-1 Everton.
Woohoo!
Ooh.
Really going for it. Fair play.
I think Everton may pull it. I'm afraid. Sorry, Reading. Right. The next game is Tottenham Hotspur, Aston Villa. 5-0, Aston Villa. Easy.
I'm gonna go
Rachel Daly hat trick for my fantasy football, please.
3-1 to Aston Villa. Beth England scores for Spurs.
Nice.
I'm going to set the difference 4-1 to Aston Villa.
Ooh, nice.
If
Score plus Jordan Nobbs.
Ooh, nice. Nice calls. And our Sky Sport main event is Man City v West Ham. I think City, Bunny Shaw, Lauren Ham, Chloe Kelly could have a field day here for me personally, unless Mackenzie Arnold pulls it out the bag.
Well, she did against us.
Yeah.
Well,
internationally, but she's very much like a Jordan Pickford. Performs poor for club, phenomenally for country.
But she was good against us, Arsenal, when we went to West Ham.
That is true. But she hasn't been good against anyone else though.
That's
Do you
really
not remember?
annoying.
Do you not remember the conversation we all had? We played them. Chelsea played them the week after. Yeah. Oh, they've got to have the performance. Just pretend you're playing us again, and they just
who's
fell.
at home this one? Who's
City are at home.
Well, West Ham won there last season when Man City had this weird thing called an injury crisis. I don't know. I don't know what it's like to have.
Was it their turn to be injury FC? Was it?
It was for the start of the season when everybody was injured and that their two goalkeepers were injured and their third choice was in goal. We need Man City to drop points. We need Man City to be the big schmuck, basically. Yeah. So I can't predict a Man City win. So I'm going for a draw. I'm going to go. I reckon it's going to Man City are going to dominate, and it's going to be one of those ones where they're completely frustrated out of the game and it's a 0-0 draw.
Are you telling me Bunny Shaw's going to have a bad game?
I think one of the games where, like,
after she's had a nice long break.
You know when they came to Meadow Park for that League Cup tie against us?
Yes.
And you
were sitting there commentating in my ear,
yes,
and then you just almost broke my nose. Yes.
It's going to be 90 minutes of cold-blooded torture, watching the ball ping around the West Ham box and late blocks and slides, and Sissoko's going to have is it Sissoko, the one you always get sent off? So he's going to have the game.
Yes.
And it's going to finish 0-0, and everyone's going to be scratching their heads, and Gareth Taylor's going to be going, well, we played the way we wanted to play, and sometimes you score and sometimes you don't, but if we stick to our principles, we're going to win the game. That's what it's going to be. So that's what I'm saying, 0-0 draw.
Okay.
You find these managers. I think City are going to win 2-0, if I'm honest. I'll just quickly brief on that. Mackenzie Arnold could be potentially the first player ever to come out as partially deaf. So bit of on that front as well.
Yeah, no, she did. She did do a social media post. Slightly, I don't know if it's a confession or I don't know how to word it, but she came out and said she picked up her first pair of hearing aids, which is really interesting, if I'm honest with you. I mean, because players don't come out about that very often.
I don't know many
about the goalkeepers though. The amount of times they're diving or get head injury, like it doesn't really. You don't really think about it, but the fact that
but the thing is, the things we do see are like the broken noses. It's like Lauren Hemp and her mask at the moment.
That girl.
She's obviously broke her nose, but things like that you don't see.
And you got Hannah Hampton.
It's not spoken about enough.
Hannah Hampton's got no depth perception.
Really?
I'm pretty sure that's the thing about Hannah Hampton is that she's got no depth perception. I'm pretty sure that's one of these things I got. Matt can probably confirm it because I think she started off as a striker and then she was moved to being a goalkeeper.
Yes, at Villarreal.
Yes.
Or somewhere so, and I'm pretty sure it's one of these things. She's a good goalkeeper. I'm please don't correct me wrong, but I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that she got no depth perception, but maybe everyone could check it. I know, which is impressive considering what you need to be a goalkeeper. You need,
Yeah, you need that.
Yeah, so she plays about. Matt's going to quickly.
But she's a great keeper either way.
Yeah, Matt's going to do it now.
Dun, dun, dun.
Am I right?
No, I was just sort of looking up something, trying to figure out what you're trying to say, but I do think about it a lot, and you do think of someone like Viv as well. Viv wears contact lenses at games.
Yeah, so does Manu as well. Manu wears hers as well.
Yeah, when she comes,
and she needs her eyes, especially in that goal. That's for sure.
Actually, that's one thing. I didn't stick around, unfortunately, to actually watch the entire team go around. But Manu was signing stuff left, right, and centre at the end of that game.
So I think Laura was pictured as well. Come to think of it, so
Strabismus is what she was born with, Hampton, which affects depth perception, and she's become a goalkeeper. So what an inspiration!
Wow.
Yeah,
definitely, 100%. I mean, that's actually incredible.
That is mad, but fair play to her, and she's one of the best keepers in the league.
No, 100%, 100%. Boys, thank you for joining me. Had a blast as always, and that is it from us till Tuesday night.
Yes.
We've got a nice long weekend between us, so we will see you after the Champions League. Bye.
Hey.